my name is Beth MacDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. I hope everyone's well, and I hope those in Florida and the eastern seaboard that got really hit by Helene are okay. That's been wild to watch. My father-in-law went to Lake Lure in North Carolina to golf, and I don't think they got much golfing, and I think they're trying to figure out how to get back to Charlotte to get back to Bermuda. But so I could look forward to hearing all the stories from him. But I hope anyone else that's in that area is okay, safe. Gosh, I don't know. Just, it looks horrific. So all the best to you. That's all I can say. Anyways, we're used to having hurricanes here in Bermuda. And because of the construction of the island, or how the island is, we don't have the problem of water. So for us, it's really just wind that's a worry. But because Bermuda is such a relatively small landmass, and it's very porous, it's made out of limestone, and there's sort of a hill that runs the whole length of it. So the water just goes down. We don't have a problem. And so I feel really badly for those more inland in North America, larger landmass. There's a lot more factors. Boy, wow, amazing. All the best to you. Anyways, that said, let's get into knitting, something else. So what am I wearing in the featured pattern for this week? So I'm really excited about this one. I think I say that every time. I think it's good. I'm excited about them all, so I'm going to probably try not to change that. It's just how it is. I get really, when I work on a design, when I think of a design, it swims around in my head for a long time before it even, I start writing it on paper, graphs or whatever, charts. It's a long process, but you get very swept up into it. You get, I get very swept up into it. I get very sort of obsessive. It's creative. And I know that I haven't sort of fulfilled a design ready to knit until I can really feel my needles getting pulled out, and that the charts are charted and everything like that. There's 3 million reviews. Those are not the original charts that you're getting, but it is quite a process. And right now I've got some yarn sitting on my desk, and I've got a basic idea, but I'm not there yet. And I can't explain to you what the feeling is, but I'm not at that obsessive level of, oh, I think I've got it, it's all formed. I'm not a person that sits and draws it all out. I really can visualize very clearly in my head. And so, yeah, so it's quite something. Anyways, this one I'm really excited about because this was something that I really wanted to do. It had been swirling around in my brain for a really long time. I would say a couple months. These things, this is not, and nothing short order here. So it had been swirling around in my brain for quite a while. Went to Alaska. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know. Went to Alaska and with the Grocery Girl group. It was a really fun, amazing trip. If you could go on one of the Grocery Girl cruises, I'd highly recommend them. It's really, really fun. And it's fun to go to class at sea. I mean, whatever. I like being a student. But anyways, when we were boarding the ship, we boarded in and out of Seattle. So I had the opportunity to go to the lovely 2 knitting shops on Bainbridge Island, La Mercerie and the Lamb Kid. Both amazing, really special, but both totally different, so totally different flavors. La Mercerie I was more familiar with, and it was sort of easy for me to go in and sort of like pick up what I was looking for because they had sort of more lines and colors that I was familiar with. The Lamb Kid, it's so special, and it's so special because the lines of yarn are their own, and their colors are very much their own. So I was super overwhelmed. I'm sure I told you the story. I did pick up, this is actually what I picked up the first day that I went there, but I was super overwhelmed and I had to go back because what I really, really, really wanted to do was to pick up yarn for some designs, and I think I've got 3 or 4 designs. I think the 4th one is one that is still kind of swirling, but I have 3 so far. Anyways, but what I really, 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 really wanted to do was to try to take advantage of their very unique color palette and their unique color vision and put it into some of my designs. So hopefully that's worked. I didn't want to, I didn't want to just put my stamp on it, if that makes sense. I really wanted the uniqueness of the colors, the color pairings that they're so known for, and color blendings, and sort of that fun, excited grouping of color, so it's not as predictable as one would expect. Adding intrigue, excitement, energy. That's what I wanted to create with the designs from the yarn that I purchased at the Lamb and Kid. And I think I'm pretty happy with them. They really, to me, I think they're a good blend of my aesthetics, which is the sort of construction and motifs and stuff like that, and then their aesthetics with the color usage and the color pairing. So anyways, and again, it's all about personal interpretation. Those are my interpretations of the Lamb and Kid and their aesthetic. And it's a special store. So is La Mercerie. I think I'm more naturally in the camp of La Mercerie. So to come out of my comfort space and to really play with color was really fun. And so long, short, this is the one that, this is the sweater grouping, whatever, that I put together on the first day. And then I went back, and that's when I picked up the vest yarn that you saw 2 weeks ago, and the yarn that you'll see in November for the Entre Deux pattern. But yeah, so this is really exciting. In my previous life, I was an interior designer, and I really liked flame stitch. So I really wanted to do sort of a flame stitch, and this would look more of a flame stitch if you did it in more of a sort of one palette, like if you just sort of did a riff of all sort of shades of purple or all shades of pink with broad tonal range, you would have more of a flame stitch. But this was it. It's a boxy raglan, so you've got a raglan construction, classic raglan construction with a bit of a larger collar, short rows at the back just to raise it. Then you get into the color work. It's very easy. It's just a slip stitch motif. Sorry. Okay, there we go. That's great. So it's a slip stitch motif. So, you know, the rows and row gauge and stitch gauge is a bit wonky because of that. So it's like a 24 stitch gauge, and I think it's a 40 row gauge for 4 inches. But that's just because it is slip stitches. So it's very kind of, the stitches knit into each other in a different way, so that especially on the row gauge, it's more compressed, and on the stitch gauge too. I used the Lamb and Kid Trio. I held it double, so it is really a DK or worsted weight pattern. If I were to knit again, I love the squishiness of holding it double, but totally feel free to divide my yardage in half to do a DK or worsted weight yarn. And I know from a lot of my test knitters that they did that exactly too. But the Trio held double is wonderful. When I purchased the yarn, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. So I purchased fingering weight, but enough to kind of go either for a fingering weight sweater or a DK weight sweater held double. I just was keeping my options open. I didn't buy a lot of the yarn, so it is sort of an elbow length sweater. Again, some of the test knitters knit it full length. It's really whatever you want. I like this sleeve length. I think it's really fun. In the winter, I'd probably wear like a denim shirt, and then I would roll the cuff up a little bit. I think it would be really chic. It's great. So it is a boxy fit, so it's huge on this. But the idea with boxy fit is it fits your shoulders, but then swingy here, and then because of that, I've got a split hem here, so a high-low split hem, just to again accentuate movement, highlight the sort of a shape, sort of the suggestion of a shape of a waist, so it's not just like this massive tent. It is quite flattering on. Let's see if I can step back some more. So yeah, there you go. So it is, I think it's a really flattering fit. I really like it. Look at the other test knitters. They all look fantastic in theirs, and I couldn't be more thrilled. And I think they're really pleased too, all of the knitters so far. So so this is, I'll sit back down. Hi again. So this will be out when the YouTube is out. So it'll be Wednesday, October 2nd. And as per usual, my patterns are on sale 20% for the first week, and I've already done the notes, so I don't have to try and figure out what date that is. So it'll actually be Thursday, the 10th of October. The sale will run from the 2nd to the 10th, so it's really 8 days, till midnight Atlantic Standard Time, which is my time. For those in Atlantic Standard Time, which is, I think, us in Nova Scotia, PEI. Newfoundland. Yeah, Bermuda. Yep, that's it. So that's an hour ahead of Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, and no coupon required, the usual. And I hope you love it. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to wear it more. I definitely want to take this to Rhinebeck to wear because, yeah, when I came back from, I think the Alaskan trip was in May, so I knit it and get to just look at it, and so I can't wait to actually wear it. And today it feels great on. I'm in the house with air conditioning, and actually it feels really lovely. I've just got a tank top underneath it, but yeah. Anyway, so this is the Sargasso Boxy Raglan, and the Sargasso Sea, it's what it's named after, and the Sargasso Sea is part of the Atlantic where there's a lot of sort of unique seaweed and water life all in it. And when I think of the Sargasso Sea, I think of, it's all around Bermuda. The evidence that I see of it is every morning there's a lot of seaweed, sometimes on the beaches, especially at different times of the year. And I see it as sort of like colorful and lifelike and lively, and that's why I came with this name for the Sargasso Boxy Raglan, which I think is kind of appropriate. And looking at it now, I really would love to try it in a monochromatic or one color family, just to see what it looks like that way too. I think there's so much you can do. And the other thing that's really interesting is with the different test knitters, each one looks so different, which is really cool to see. One of my friends, Wendy, she did it in sort of pale colors, and that looks really lovely and very soft and gentle, which of course pale colors, but with the brighter colors, it's highly energetic, you know, and you'll see another friend, Kimberly, she did it in some bright blues and greens. And again, it has just another total feel, and I think that's really neat. So it's very sort of chameleon-like, I think. Yeah. Anyways, I hope you like it. It's a lot of fun to knit. And on that, when you're knitting it, and I think this is sort of, people were coining my last episode's chat about yarn and finished fabrics, and looking at finished fabrics for, you know, what the how you want to express yourself in the knitwear. People were calling that sort of my TED Talk, and I thought that was really funny. So, and I do these things kind of inadvertently, but when things come up in my mind, I would really like to talk about things like that. So today's TED Talk, or whatever, is about charts. And I'd really like to, just from a design perspective, I'd really like to talk about charts. I think there's, you'll hear a lot of people say, there's a stitch pattern, but it was highly memorizable, or it was not highly memorizable, or whatever. And I think that's great. And I think also I wouldn't rely on your memory, because I think it's important to make sure that of what you've already knit, that it's still stacking appropriately. So just, you know, I made a lot of mistakes on this, so hey, we all kind of zone out. But I think it's a false sense of security. The other reason, and the more main reason, I mean, mistakes happen, whatever, and I do keep stitch markers between things so that you can make sure that, you know, you don't go too far. But again, I went really far, whatever. Duplicate stitch, we'll talk about that later. But, you know, just so that you ideally don't, you know, go way down the garden path. But mistakes are mistakes, no big deal. But what I'd like to talk about with charts is there's a lot more information on a chart, especially when it's showing you increases or decreases and how to work those into the pattern. There's a lot more information there than just the stitch pattern. So with this sweater, on the charts, it shows the, I have to make sure I get this right, the increases, and it'll show you how many stitches are before those increases. So because in a traditional raglan, you have increases every other row for both the body and the sleeve. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can I do this? I can't, now I'm not confused. 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 points of increases, right? So there's 2 for this sleeve, 2 for the front, 2 for this sleeve, 2 for the back. So those 8 points of increases, they will be increased in a standard raglan every other round. Now for a boxy raglan, I'm just playing with those proportions. So I'm increasing the sleeves every other round, but I'm increasing the body, front and back, every round. Now that can kind of play tricks on you, and because, you know, you're knitting along, you're like, oh, sleeve, whatever. But it's really important to follow the chart, because the chart will tell you where you are by how many stitches you have from the pattern repeat. So basically, you'll go through the chart and you'll be like, okay, at this row, I should have 4 stitches before my pattern repeats again. And then, you know, it'll get sucked into the new pattern when you've added so many. And then you'll have 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 3 stitches. And then you get sucked into the pattern repeat again. But that really helps you keep it straight so that you don't forget, like I'm just pulling it this way, so that you don't forget to always increase on the body and always increase on the sleeves every other round. So what I'm trying to say is, in a chart, it's not, some charts are just about the pattern repeat, and that's awesome. And then just, if it's memorizable, go along, no worries. But on a lot of patterns, especially if they're showing you sort of shaping around sort of the yoke or whatever, follow it line by line. It's really worth it. I know it sounds tedious and blah, you know, but it'll save you so much from mistakes by forgetting increases or mistakes of over increasing and getting sort of weird stitch counts on your sleeve or your body or whatever. Follow the charts. And, you know, whether you, sometimes I just take a chart, here are my show notes, and I just, you know, move my phone. I use my phone a lot. It's heavy and it sort of stays still. And I just move it up as I go on a chart. This isn't a chart, but, you know, whatever. I also like the ones that I have from Knit Picks, but I know Coco Knits have those amazing binders where you have the magnetic line that goes up. I use those too for more complicated charts or from traveling. That's great. And I know the app on here, which I have and I still haven't really used it. What's it called? Knit Companion. That's really great, and that'll help you. I need to really study that. That's a really cool app. The problem is I don't like to use my phone when I'm knitting. But anyways, but again, that'll help you go line by line. So, you know, or the or just, you know, tape and just putting it up, the highlighter tape. I use that too. But make sure you're getting all the information the chart is offering, not just stitch pattern, especially when you're using color work or lace work or whatever in a circular yoke or a raglan or whatever. I mean, whatever, you're going to probably, unless it's a drop sleeve, you're probably going to be creating some shapes, some increases or decreases, and that's going to give you all the information and totally keep you on track. If you try and do it by just memory, you're probably going to go off the plot a little bit, unless you're brilliant and wonderful and you don't make mistakes. But I like to daydream. I need to stay on target, and I need all the tools I can get. So that's my tip for today. Look at the charts. Look at all the information it's giving you. And that'll really help for this pattern, for any other pattern. And yeah, okay. That's the TED Talk for today. Hope you found it very helpful. Anyway, so yeah, so good. So other recently published patterns. So I kind of had a bit of a surprise published pattern in the last 2 weeks. I designed this fun cowl in the spring. How can I put it so that it's there? Boy, the camera really messes me up. So I designed this in the spring. I had so much fun designing this. I just was thinking some easy color work, using up sort of scraps. You could use up scraps. This is designed for DK weight. You could knit it in fingering weight. It'd be narrower and smaller. But again, you can just keep going. I used up DK scraps, loved it. So what I did is I published this pattern, but with a bit of surprise. There's a link, and you'll see if you're on Instagram, there's a coupon code on Instagram. So just follow the prompts on the Instagram post, and that'll get you a free pattern on Ravelry. Well, it'll give you the coupon for a free pattern on Ravelry. It's fun. I always designed this to be something that would be just an excitement for the fall or whatever, and that was sort of done that way to increase my Instagram visibility and at the same time Ravelry visibility. So so that's the ploy. I mean, it still is available on Ravelry for $6. So if you're not on Instagram, no biggie. And again, I'm not trying to keep things separate for other people, but the idea is to increase exposure on Instagram, because let's face it, the more views for Instagram and YouTube, the bigger my audience, the more the sales. So it is what it is. I thought it was fun. I'm having a lot of fun with being creative on Instagram. Last year I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to do YouTube. I still have tons to learn, but I'm feeling more and more comfortable with that. There were some dramatic moments. It's not as easy as it looks. It's really time consuming too, but a lot you can do, and I'm sure I'll work on the kind of creative side of the YouTube stuff to come. But I really also now am doing a push this year on just being creative in other social media, which was really primarily Instagram. And it's fun. I did university for undergraduate. I did fine arts. And I kind of feel like the learning curve for both the sort of videos and, Instagram sort of posts, and also with the pattern layouts, all that sort of layout, sort of marketing, media, compositional stuff, I find really fun, because it kind of feels like I'm learning a whole new thing, kind of like back in fine arts again. So, and then all about knitting, which is also creative. So I'm a happy camper. I hope you like that stuff. And go check it out on Instagram, that post for your free coupon for that cowl. It's really fun and it's really easy, and I can't wait to see what everyone does. So that is the Winter's Walk Cowl. What has been finished? So I've been really doing, since I last chatted with you, I've been pushing hard on 2 projects that are not designed by me. And I finished one, and I'm still working on the other. But I finished this one, the Fleetwood by Tanis Lavalee from Tanis Fiber Arts, and I love it. I purposely wanted it really boxy, really casual, because I could see myself just wearing this in the winter, just with leggings or something, just really simply. I did a turtleneck. Because it's so boxy, I felt that the neckline needed to sort of have equal weight. And also it allows me to just wear it with leggings and a t-shirt underneath it. I am kind of funny about how the neckline is finished around my neck. So this just gives me a lot more freedom. I don't have to think about it. Because it's boxy, I did very narrow sleeves, so I did narrower than even the smallest size sleeves, but the body, I think I did, it's like a 50-inch body. So I was using DeRerum Natura Gilliatt for the main yarn, and that is kind of like a heavy worsted weight yarn. So I was getting a 19 stitch gauge to 4 inches, which is 1 stitch larger. So I knew I was going to be bigger, which is exactly the direction I wanted to go. I hadn't crocheted in a long time. I used to crochet a lot. So that was fun. I had to sort of remind myself how to do it. And I really had to remind myself how to do the pick up as you go to join the 9 granny squares. That's a bit wonky. And they're a little bit askew. And I kind of like it. It's kind of the vibe of this sweater. And I'm super excited about it. So yeah. So that's that. I really loved it. Oh, and all of the 9 squares, granny stitch squares, they are all just DK weight leftovers. So I've got them all written down here. Why am I even trying to sort of say what they are? So I'll just read it. Mota yarn in the gray, and Mota in the turquoise. So that's Wool Dreamers. I've got Ram U Dovestone DK colored Dalby. Not even sure what that is. Sawkill Farm 3 Ply Worsted colored grays. That's I think this color, this natural. Anyways, it's a bunch of stuff that I had just little balls, remnants of, and I love this. And I just can't wait for, this to me is just such a fun sweater. So if you haven't knitted the Fleetwood, which is the sweater version, or the Jeffro, which is the cardigan version, I totally would. It's really fun. It uses, the construction of it is exciting too, and it uses different skills, and I enjoyed every step of it. It was really great fun. And while I love circular yokes going around and around and around, because that is what that's my true love, I like seaming too. I find it really fun. I like picking up stitches. I find that really fun and satisfying. I like new and different constructions. I learned so much. I hadn't done sort of the flat front and the flat back and the picking up for the arms. I hadn't done that for so long in a winter sweater, and I was just so thrilled to do that. So, you know, I think we need to keep a little variety, which is really why I like to knit other people's designs. And I'm really, well, this spring and the summer I did a lot of my own designing, and they'll be slowly rolled out this fall and winter. I'm really craving knitting other people's designs some more, so you'll see more of those. I'm just going to take a quick break and come right back, and we'll talk about this one here. One sec. Yeah, so the Fleetwood Sweater, really amazing. Totally recommend it. Or the Jethro cardigan. 2 thumbs up. Really good. So what I'm working on, I'm really working on this sweater for my husband, Jeff. This is the Four Fox egg from Maxim Cyr from Les Garçons. It's an amazing design. I have to say, this is the project that I was working on in the evenings after dinner when I'm tired and not really paying attention. And I probably should have had this one down at my desk, which I had the Fleetwood down at my desk. I had this one during the day down at my desk while I'm working, and this one for evenings. And I'm not an evening person, so I made a lot of mistakes on this one. Like when I separated for sleeves, as if you were with me last time, you noticed that I just realized that I had totally gotten everything all twisted so that the short rows were off center with the sleeves, which also made the main motif off center. I was going to rip out the neckline and just redo the short rows in the neck. That didn't work, and thank God I noticed that before I started to cut into it, because the short rows are really close to the color work, and it just would have been really hard to get that picked up cleanly. And I love stockinette. I have to say, I really don't mind knitting stockinette. So I just ripped out the body and re-knit the body. Sorry, Luna wants to go outside. All these different distractions. But anyways, so I just re-knit the body. It was actually no big deal. And again, I have this at night. Going around and around stockinette is super fine. I think the body looks great. It's a good length. And then I went to knit the sleeves. When I'm knitting someone else's design, I really try to just follow their pattern. And especially with a male figure, I'm trying to, like a male designer designing for a male figure, I want to learn as much as I can, because there are different proportions. Like the yoke depths are a little bit different. The sleeves are are different, and the body lengths are different too. So, all these things, and I'm really trying to learn, and I really trust and believe in Max's designs and his ability. But I think Max and Vincent have a little bit more pipes than my husband, because the sleeve that he had created, and I hadn't really looked at the schematic, but it was 15.5 inches wide in diameter for his size. This is size 3 for a 42-inch chest, and that's just too big for Jeff. He doesn't like anything too voluminous in the sleeves. In fact, he admitted that he'd prefer it to be more on the, not snug, but he'd rather slim than full, which, again, live and learn. So I had knit the sleeve with the cuff to the pattern specifications, and it was just too full for Jeff. So the other day, and if you saw on my Instagram, I attached it to my ball winder and ripped the sleeve back out and re-knit it. And here I just did an extra 2 decreases initially in the corners of the underarm, and then decreased every 8th round all the way down. I think I had to decrease another 6 stitches to get to the recommended cuff stitch count, and there I am. I am short on yarn. My girlfriend and great savior always, Priscilla, I'm meeting her at Rhinebeck, and she has 1 ball of this, so I'm getting that from her. Thank you, Priscilla. And it turns out when I finish this with all these decreases, I have exactly enough to get to this point on the other side, which I'll do. And then with Priscilla's, since it'll probably be she's in a bar, quiet and boring house, but it seems that when I start to record, the dog gets excited and whatever, everything happens. But anyways, okay, so I had 80 grams for when I started this sleeve. I have exactly 41 grams to do this sleeve, so I should have 2 grams left. So that'll be great when I put on Priscilla's yarn for the 2 cuffs. If it's slightly different tone, different, dye lot, it won't matter because it's sort of hidden in the ribbing and the shading. So I think it's going to be fantastic. So there's been a lot of extra work. I've kind of knit most of the sweater except for the color work twice. And I don't really care. I'm not mad about it at all. I think it's kind of funny. And I think actually it's going to be a sweater that my husband is going to love, love, love wearing. I've used Hillesvåg Ask as the main color here. And I dyed some of the Hillesvåg. I had like a purpley one and I dyed it to have this blue. So the majority of this yarn is Hillesvåg Ask, and I think that's going to create a really lovely, it's a beautiful DK weight, but it's a relatively light sweater, so perfect for travel, perfect for packing, but also perfect for just layering here in Bermuda. Bermuda does get very damp and chilly in the winter, and I just think this is going to be a really, really, really good one for Jeff, and he better love it. I'm just joking, he will. It'll be great. And what's not to love? And then, as I mentioned before, we used to have a Shiba Inu, which people used to call a little red fox. And so we miss our dear old Blaze. And so that's why this sweater is so appropriate for Jeff. Because it just sort of looks like, it looks like a little blazy on it. Anyways. So yeah, so hopefully before, in 2 days, I want to just plug away and get this other sleeve done. And then I'll have it sit and wait for me to come back from Rhinebeck just to add the 2 cuffs. And then it'll be done. And then hopefully, the temperatures will have dropped here in Bermuda and we can have the doors and windows open and enjoy light sweaters. End of October is a bit optimistic, but whatever. I can still wish. So that is fun. The other thing that I'm just still working on are these vanilla shorty socks. I turned the heel, and then the great thing was last night we had a big family dinner at my house here, and I was able just to knit along on the foot, which is great. It's great to have little things like that go round and round on, and that's all I'm working on right now. It's been busy, but I'm really trying to get these other things off. And then I want to get back to maybe doing some more design work, but I also really am itching to knit more people's sweat things. In fact, I'm really excited for Thursday, and I'm curious, are you going to be knitting Stephen West's mystery cowl this year? I am. I love it. I didn't knit last year, so I knit the year before. I kind of do them every alternate year. The last one I did was the one with all of the braided I-cords in it. And while I had no problem knitting it, that didn't bother me at all. I didn't love the shawl. It's a strange shape for me, but whatever. I learned a lot. I'm excited to do it. So I missed last year. Last year I probably would have actually been a shape that I would have really liked. This year I'm excited for. I've finally come to the decision on what I'm using, and I've got 2 of each of these. They're Opus from Walcott Yarns. I bought them last year at one of the events before Rhinebeck. Can't remember the name. The one that wasn't overly successful for everyone. But I was able to get to the Lake Garcon booth with Walcott Yarns, and I was able to pick these 2 up. I thought they were really spectacular colors. So what colors are they? The blue is Spellbound, and this is called Backlight. So I think they're really cool together. There's not a huge tonal difference in them, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. I think it'll be really cool. I've really gone around and around the block on this. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm not changing my mind. Never say never, but I don't think I am. And then the mohair dare, I've got my little leftovers from cake, from the icing on the cake cowl and vest, and I've got, I think, 2 sort of bits of that left, and I just thought, if you can see through the plastic bag, I do keep things in plastic bags a lot. I recycle them. I've got a drawer of old ones. We have moths in Bermuda. We don't seem to have them too much in our house, knock on wood. But we do also have cockroaches, which is gross. So I do keep things in plastic bags, especially when I put them in drawers, because cockroaches like drawers. I know, sorry, it's gross. It's Bermuda, semi-tropical, and they get in. Anyways, so I thought this was so pretty because there's sort of, I'm going to take one out. There's both the purples and the blues, and I thought it would be really great to tie it together. So that'd be my mohair dare. And this color is from Cake, and it is called Dogtooth Violet. And I'm really excited about that. So I'm just realizing I haven't put those in the show notes, but I'll make sure I do. But I'm really excited. Yeah. Anyways, I think it's super fun. I love the community. I love the excitement of, Thursday morning. What's the next clue or the first clue going to be? Where are we going with it? I love Stephen's imagination. It's amazing. He really is incredible. And quite an engineering mind to have the idea of having a sort of a pattern, a design, or a shape, and having the ability to get to the finish line. It's pretty amazing. So love that. Very happy to be a part of it. We'll see if I stick to it. I have to say, when the first clue comes out, that can kind of be the make or break for me. But I'm keen. And right now I really, really, really am craving knitting other people's designs. And I want to roll with it. And there's so many other ones that I haven't been able to put my finger on exactly what I want to do. But I think I'm going to cast on some other people's designs soon. And then I also want to finish that other cabled vest that I showed you, a second version. So anyway, so that's kind of that. So you guys have all been helping me with design names in the past, and I'm so grateful. They're awesome. The wit, the creativity, the ingenuity, love it. So another person, and if they could email me, they found me on YouTube, C. Evans, and he, C. Evans came up with the idea for this one that I'll put on the screen here, calling Get Out of the Pool. And I love that name because it's fantastic. The whole concept of this top, which I have here, is so that you can just enjoy hand-dyed yarn, and by knitting the same width consistently for all parts of that top, the pool will remain the same. So either it'll avoid the pool or you'll have a bit of pooling, but it'll be consistent throughout, so it won't be distracting. So Get Out of the Pool, I think it's fantastic. I think it sounds like Bermuda too. And I think it tells you exactly what the idea is behind the concept, the construction concept of that. So I'm really thrilled with that. So thank you, C. Evans. Please email me, knit@bmid.bm. It's all down below, along with all the show notes and everything, listing everything that we've talked about today. When the pattern is published, I'm just sending it to the tech editor this week, and then it has to be test knit. So it's a bit of a process, but when it's published, I will be sure to get you a copy, and I thank you. That's brilliant, wonderful. So yeah, so design names, thank you. And what's coming up next? So Rhinebeck is right around the corner. I will have one more podcast for you before I fly off to Westchester. We've got a Bermuda Air. If you're looking to come to Bermuda, check out an airline called Bermuda Air, and they fly to different places, Florida, the States, Eastern Seaboard, Toronto, Halifax, and their prices are pretty good compared to the other ones. Sometimes they're a little more competitive, especially Canadian ones. Anyways, so Bermuda Air flies now from Bermuda to Westchester, which is just north of New York City, which makes it super easy for me to get to Rhinebeck and down and then back to Bermuda without being away from the home for too long. I still have a son in school, his last year, and I don't want to disrupt the whole household. So that's really wonderful. So I'll be flying up on a Wednesday, coming back on a Sunday night, and really looking forward to that. But before I go, I'll have a podcast up for everyone. And in that podcast, the very long and circuitous way I was getting to that, I will be presenting and publishing 2 other patterns designed for Cake Palooza and with the cake yarn. So I was using this mohair. So cake yarn is lovely. And Cake Palooza is so much fun. Always been one of my favorite of all of the Rhinebeck events. It's just consistently been amazing. So I will have 2 patterns out at Cake Palooza. I'll have the vest called Icing on the Cake Vest, which I'll put a thing up here. And I also will have Icing on the Cake Cowl. Again, picture right here. So those will be published on the Wednesday. Cake Palooza itself is on the Friday, so get your pattern. If you're coming to Cake Palooza, check out Alyssa at Cake Wool. She'll have great yarn. I use her merino cashmere, MCN, DK weight, and the mohair to make either the vest or the cowl. You don't need to use cake wool. It is really special, but if you're unable to come to Rhinebeck, and I'm really not trying to lay on anything thick or whatever here, no big deal. A DK weight yarn or worsted, with or without mohair. Have fun. Great pattern, I think. Really easy, really fun to knit, and the test knitters have all done a beautiful, beautiful job. So do take a look at those for some inspiration. They've used the whole gamut of yarns too, so you can see it in like a fluffy Surrey. One of my friends, Lorian, knit the cowl in a fluffy Surrey. That's great. A lot of people with some hand-dyed yarn, so you can see the sort of modeling and how that works with the slight cable. And also, sorry, now there's Luna wants back in. I'm going to just try and finish up. And also in some solid, so it's a bit more of sort of an elegant, more sort of elevated, or I don't know if that's elevated, but monotone look. It's really lovely, and it really shows off that way the cables more, which is great. They're not hard cables. They're very soft, just undulating, so it's supposed to be like icing on the cake. And then the cake vest has a turned collar with little openings here for you to put through a scarf or a tie or a ribbon. And Christina from Chelsea Yarns is hand dyeing some lovely silk ribbon, and so that'll be available at Cake Palooza too, and maybe, I'm not sure, on Christina's website as well. So really exciting. I'm really excited for the weekend. I'm really excited for those 2 designs to be released into the wild, because again, I got really excited about designing them and I got really into it, and so there are more designs that I'm really thrilled with and really pleased with. So, and I hope you love them too. So that's what's coming up. So I'll leave you with some pretty photos of Bermuda, videos of Bermuda. There was a superb sunrise this morning, which I videoed. I think I'll lead with that so that you can, and I'll keep the music off for that so you can hopefully hear. Unless there's a lot of bikes, then I'll have to kind of cover it up. But the sound, Bermuda is famous for whistling frogs. And so the whistling frogs, it was still early enough that the whistling frogs were still out, and it was lovely. I'm on a middle-sized road, and at rush hour it gets kind of noisy with the bikes and the cars. But if it's not too much ugly background noise, I'll leave the good whistling frog background noise on for you to hear, because they're really special. And then, we've done some really great walks, saw a beautiful rainbow, and I think I've got a little clip of a cute lizard on a big aloe plant with some aloe graffiti. I think it's cool. It looks really neat and edgy. But yeah, Bermuda has a lot of lizards. So I don't know, they call them Warwick lizards. Warwick is a parish. It's the parish I actually live in. I don't really know what kind of lizards they are, but they're Bermuda Warwick lizards. And so they're fun too. They're everywhere. Adorable. They're sometimes in the house, but we don't encourage that. The dog helps prevent that. But anyways, there you go. I'll leave you with that. I hope everyone is well. Happy knitting. Enjoy the fall seasons or the getting ready for summer. Anything change is great. And take care. Happy knitting. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. Bye.